And Brian, we have before we get into the wrestling part of the program, we got to talk a little bit about the business. We haven't given an update on our old friend Colin here in a while. And there's been design behind that because of reasons that we will talk about here in a couple of minutes. But he's made some news. So since he's made some news, we are allowed to talk about the news that he's made and potentially news that we have made connected with the news he's made. Allegedly. Did I say anything to get us in trouble yet?
Not yet, no. And by the way, anyone who hears this entire segment will be legally cleared, so if you got a problem, call our lawyer directly. Thank you.
877-50-STEVE.
50-STEVE.
50-STEVE. Actually, one of the three different legal entities working on this case, because it involves such the scope and the magnitude of it, as well as the jurisdictional cross-references and wherewithals and why-fors, and that means that we got more attorneys on this thing than defended OJ. But in this case, we're fighting for right instead of if the glove don't fit. So, Brian, instead of me getting us, I'm already under the sword of Damocles threat of some kind of suit here, and I will comment on that in a second.
Defamation.
Defamation, baby.
And defecation.
Defamation and defecation. You know what? That sounds like one of those Schoolhouse Rock things. Defamation. What's your station?
Defamation and defecation is also the Vince McMahon biography that is coming out soon.
Why don't you tell the people, since you're better at this, what we can legally say about what Colin has just done that we kind of knew he was going to do and foreshadowed he'd do, and what we're doing about it, and then we'll discuss those things.
Yeah, we'll say a few things, and we're not going to go too long because also we don't want to say too much about strategy beyond what we want to say. But we haven't said anything publicly on the show in a little while as we've been doing stuff behind the scenes. We have 3 different legal teams currently working with us. We've done investigations, we've looked into things, and Colin Thomson...
Actually, should we tell, if anybody has only been listening for 3 months, we might better prep them up.
There's an omnibus. You can go search on YouTube for the Jim Cornette Kast Media Saga Omnibus, and there's a 10-part series of clips telling everyone the entire story. Kast Media, who was our advertising agent, stopped paying us. The money that advertisers were paying them specifically for advertising on the Jim Cornette podcasts was never sent to us. It was allocated in other ways. This started I shouldn't say it started then. We started talking about it on the show, I believe last summer. And since that time, Colin Thomson's Kast Media has just declared bankruptcy. They've put in the papers. Arcadian Vanguard, representing obviously the Jim Cornette shows, is the 8th biggest creditor on the list. What it says here, and again, any debt that was previously taken off the books by Podcast One isn't here. Anything else we don't know about yet, and we will know about it. Discovery's coming, baby. But what we see here is he owes just under $7 million. Or excuse me, I shouldn't say he. We got to be careful here.
Yes,
there's going to be more to this. Kast Media is $7 million in the hole. I say he. I actually have right here the papers, because they just came in the mail yesterday, where Colin is petitioning the court to ask for a raise. This is public record, so we could talk about this, and if not, Stephen will tell me.
And wait a minute, let me just say one thing also, is that obviously, when you say 8th biggest creditor, when we started, for the new listeners, when we started talking about this whole thing on our shows, that opened up kind of a floodgate where Theo Von, everybody from Theo Von to Sarah Silverman to goddamn one of Penn and Teller. I can't remember which one now.
Penn Jillette, Whitney Cummings.
There you go.
Lots of people.
And then CoffeeZilla did a piece on this character, Colin, and this whole flim-flam. And a lot of people, it got a lot of attention. So there are, while we are in this, there are obviously other people involved. and it's become a whole big thing. And it's gone from, at the time that CoffeeZilla investigated him, we could find, well, $4 million. Now it's up to $7 million that Kast Media is in the hole somehow. That money went somewhere.
And reportedly, there was a $2 million debt to Brandon Schaub that Podcast One, as reported by Billboard, Podcast One paid off that debt, covered that debt, and then signed into a separate deal.
So this wouldn't even count that.
This doesn't even count that or any other debts that have already been settled through Podcast One. More to come about that, but not today. Stay tuned. So there's all that money. I do want to say, if you go back and watch that CoffeeZilla video, on video, Colin Thomson's interviewed, and the blame is being shifted to these minimum guarantees. Fans of WCW remember these? These minimum guarantees. Actually, WWE, WCW, there was no minimum. It was just, here's your guarantee.
Yeah.
Minimum guarantees that were given to talent that came from other talent's money to keep things going. Problem is, we're now talking about just $7 million here. Who is the talent that money was supposed to have gone to? Who? Who got the money? Doesn't seem like anyone got that money. We will find out. Another thing, and again, I have the thing here, Colin Thomson petitioning the court. He's been working since 2016 as the CEO of Kast Media. And it's also important to note, and here's another thing we will find out, but I got no problem saying this. As discussed in the CoffeeZilla video, and as we know a little bit more about, Colin's house was put in an LLC in, I believe, Wyoming, set up. The website was from a company that hides assets from bankruptcy. Now, I have Colin's salary here, and I know how much his house is valued at. Did he buy the house outright in cash? Or did he have a mortgage? And if he had a mortgage, did he put down his annual salary of $180,000? Because now I'm very curious how he got that house. But
because you're saying there's no way that any bank would give you a loan or a mortgage on a house of that value with an annual salary of $180,000.
You never know. There's angels everywhere. But you wouldn't think that someone with that salary, and unless his wife is just rolling in dough, someone would be able to buy that house. Again, the asset is hidden for now. We'll see what the trustee thinks about all that. But Kast Media's filed for bankruptcy. We have multiple legal teams working on this. We are the first ones in the fray.
That's right. Is that a big deal like it is on YouTube when you get to be the first commenter? Because we're the first person to, and now we're not the first person to sue Colin Thomson. Apparently,
we haven't sued him yet of this moment.
I'm saying he's been sued at one point, on and off all of his life from his various employees and everything. But we're the first person to jump in and say, "Excuse us, we're first in line."
We are the first ones actively getting involved with this, but others are about to follow. Some other interesting notes here real quick. Again, this is all public record. According to Kast Media's paperwork, the statements and schedules, assets that they have beyond whatever they're already listing, which includes almost nothing, it seems like. Where'd all those assets go? We will find out. But two things are interesting here. One,
I saw he's got a $400 fax machine. I think I know where he got that from.
One thing here, for anyone that was doubting this when we said it, he has a finder's fee agreement with Courtside Group Incorporated. That'd be Podcast One. So the guy who was in charge of the company that somehow lost all of this money, millions and millions of dollars from all these podcasters, he had an agreement in place for him to be compensated by Podcast One, a finder's fee agreement for any show he pushed over there. Shows got screwed twice. He got enriched twice. That's pathetic. But the other thing here, Jim, of note, is see Schedule A-B, Part 11, Question 74, Attachment for Legal Claims. Causes of action against third parties.
Now, wait a minute. Again, you're just assuming everybody. I'm talking to all the small town bird lawyers out there. He is a claimant. Colin Thomson is a claimant as an asset of his company in his bankruptcy here. We'll list everything you got that's worth something. He is claiming a potential asset is the potential value that he would get from doing what, Brian?
Causes of action against third parties, whether or not a lawsuit has been filed. Defamation case, Theo Vaughn. Defamation case, Jim Cornette. Defamation case, Jason Ellis. Defamation case, CoffeeZilla. There's also a breach of contract in here.
And by the way, this is a legal form, and he put down against CoffeeZilla like that's his Christian name. He gets his goddamn state income tax form fucking delivered to or whatever. How is anybody taking this guy seriously? No, wait a minute. He is, now I agree it would be valuable for him. More people would know who the fuck he was than as ever before in his life if he tried to sue me for defamation. But apparently he's trying to sue all these people, or not trying to. He's saying I could do this and get some money. No, you couldn't. But these are all the people that told everybody on their shows how they had been forsook and misrepresented to and taken away from. And now he is trying to get to some court somewhere, which is going to fucking, if they even investigate this and look at it past face value, we'll laugh him out of there. And he's trying to say that he could get value out of suing us for, Brian, isn't the old saying, the truth is an absolute defense?
It's not just a saying, that's a fact.
Well, that's old sayings are even better than facts because they're true. But it's preposterous that he would expect a legal entity to believe something like that. Even if they don't know who I am, they can check out Theo. He's got friends in high places.
It's even crazier because Theo's a creditor for $450,000 plus.
Yeah, he's trying to. He thinks he wants to sue for defamation all the people he owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to.
And he's telling the other creditors, I'm going to sue these other creditors maybe to get you your money. So that's crazy. But you want to talk what a real defamation case would be? It would be going for a CoffeeZilla interview and saying that you hid your assets because of Brian Last and Jim Cornette talking about you, even though that's chronologically impossible. Even though you did that before a single word was uttered, before your name was ever said publicly. That's defamation, because that's provable. That's provable. That was clearly false. He clearly lied, and that's provable. It's on video. So that's actually how defamation works. Defamation is not telling the truth publicly. And remember, when the editor of Podcast News, James Cridlin, I believe is his name, when this all first broke and he emailed Colin for comment, Colin's response was to send him a link to an article on U.S. defamation law. And when he asked, "Are you threatening me?" Colin's response was something along the lines of, "Oh no, I was just looking myself, didn't know." So this little bug wants to intimidate people and try to scare people. You know, this is his second bankruptcy attorney, because the first one that he named in his emails last May is no longer on the case, apparently. But he has a very, very talented attorney. We've heard nothing but good things about her. But it's not about the attorney sometimes, it's about the client. And it's about the case. And this is going to probably get really, really messy, even if we did nothing, just from everyone else. But this is going to get messy, and I think the victims of Kast Media, to the best of all abilities, need to be repaid what was stolen from them. Assets need to be liquidated, potentially clawed back, so that they can be liquidated, so that the victims can be made somewhat close to whole. And I think there need to be real penalties. The thing that we need more than anything, because the money's gone. He blew the money. Wherever it is, it's gone. We got to make sure he can't do this again. His goal, and again, we heard reports a few months ago, he was operating already under the name of another entity. His goal is to just push away all this debt, all the money that he misappropriated, the man who ran the books, and just bounce on to the next thing. But we've heard from people, they've emailed us, that have interviewed with him. Make sure if you see him out there, you remember who this guy is and what he did and what he's still trying to do. He sent to CoffeeZilla some note about how his mentor, how old do you have to be before you stop talking about your mentors? His mentor told him it's not about what you've done, it's about how you live your life every day and be better. You're still the same guy you were a year ago.
Well, CoffeeZilla just did a piece on laughing at the same thing we're laughing about because he named CoffeeZilla in there, and he did a video laughing at the guy for further calling attention to himself in front of his audience for being a buffoon, for anybody thinking that he could possibly sue him for defamation. And so he just keeps bringing more attention on himself with these outlandish misrepresentations, Mama Cornette used to say, trying to rob Peter to pay Paul somehow. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to editorialize
and
there.
that's it, and we'll see where this goes. You know, it's public record, so we'll say it. He's now claiming he owes us $250,000. He's claiming he owes us a little more than $250,000. That's about $100,000 more than he was claiming last summer. And now he's also claiming,
but we still haven't seen the actual
we haven't seen any accounting
verify either one of those.
Because according to his own forms here that I'm looking at right in front of me, he says that the money owed to us is only from 2023. That seems to be a bit questionable. We also need full accounting for several years, so there'll be more about this. This segment has been cleared legally if you're hearing it, and we'll talk with our counsel, the multiple members of our council, as we go forward to see what we could talk about. But it's a very public case. Feel free to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen.